What if I told you that right now, today, there is a 17-year-old kid running times that put him in the same conversation as Usain Bolt? Not as a joke, not as social media hype, as cold, hard numbers that are starting to line up in a way that should terrify the rest of the sprinting world. Stick around, because by the end of this video you are going to understand why 3 different athletes you are about to meet might just be the reason track and field looks completely different in the next 5 years. His name is Gout Gout, and he is doing something almost nobody his age has ever done. He is getting dangerously close to elite senior-level sprint times before he has even turned 18. It started in 2024, when Gout ran 20.04 seconds in the 200 meters at the Australian All-Schools Championships. Now that number alone does not sound dramatic until you realize what it broke. A national record that had survived since 1968, 56 years. Set by Peter Norman at the Mexico City Olympics with a time of 20.06. Multiple generations of athletes tried and failed to touch that record. Better shoes, better tracks, better training science, none of it mattered. And then a teenager walked in and broke it like it was nothing. Here is where we need to keep things grounded, though, because the internet loves to exaggerate. Gout's official personal best in the 200 meters sits around 20.02 to 20.04 seconds, depending on conditions. That puts him among the fastest under 18 athletes ever recorded in history. But for comparison, Usain Bolt at the exact same age, 17 years old, ran 19.93 seconds. So no, Gout has not actually beaten Bolt's age, 17 mark. Bolt is still very slightly ahead. But we are talking about a gap of less than 1/10 of a second. In the sprinting world, that gap is basically nothing, and the fact that a teenager is even within striking distance of it is rare beyond words. Now in the 100 meters, Gout has legally run around 10.17 seconds. He has actually clocked faster times, 10.04, even dipped under 10 seconds in some races. But here is the catch, those were wind-assisted. Anything above plus 2.0 meters per second of tailwind, and the time does not count as official. So while those numbers hint at even more potential sitting underneath the surface, we cannot use them as direct comparisons. Only the legal marks count. But here is what really has scouts and coaches losing their minds. It is not just the stopwatch. It is how he runs, his stride length, his relaxation at top speed, his ability to hold form deep into the race when most runners start tightening up and falling apart. That specific skill set, staying smooth under extreme speed, is exactly what separated Usain Bolt from every other sprinter of his era. Bolt was not just fast. He was efficient at a speed where efficiency should be impossible. And Gout is already flashing those same signs. In 2024, Gout stepped onto the international stage at the World Under-20 Championships and ran 20.60 in the 200-meter final, finishing second. He did not win. But that almost does not matter, because the jump from junior competition to global competition is brutal. Countless talented young athletes freeze the moment they step onto that bigger stage. Gout did not freeze. He competed. He belonged. Then he went to Europe, to the Golden Spike meet in Ostrava, a meet with serious sprinting history attached to it, and ran approximately 20.02 seconds legally. That single race mattered because it proved his speed was not a product of perfect Australian conditions. It travels. And here's a wild detail. Bolt himself ran at that exact same meet early in his career back in 2006, clocking 20.28. So at that specific event, Gout is actually faster than Bolt was. Not overall, not at the same age across the board, but at that meet, yes. Sprinting development is not a straight line, though. Some athletes peak as teenagers and plateau forever. Others develop slowly and explode in their mid-20s. Bolt himself did not hit his true peak until he was 21 to 23 years old, the years he shattered world records and became an Olympic legend. Gout is still growing, still developing physically and technically, which means what we are seeing right now is not his ceiling. It might not even be close. Physically, Gout stands around 1.83 meters. Bolt at his peak stood at 1.95 meters, which gave him a massive stride length advantage. But here is the thing. Gout's biomechanics are already efficient at his current size. If he keeps growing and keeps building strength, his top-end speed has real room to climb even higher. And the competition he is walking into is brutal. Today's sprinting field is deeper than it has ever been. Athletes like Noah Lyles are running consistent sub-20-second races as a baseline. For Gout to go from a dominant junior to a senior world threat, he needs to eventually drop into the 19.80 to 19.60 range in the 200 meters and get close to 9.90 seconds in the 100. That jump is enormous. Most promising juniors never make it. He has even dabbled in the 400 meters, running around 46.14 seconds, a time that hints at serious speed endurance, exactly the kind of trade elite 200-meter specialists tend to carry underneath the surface. Now look, the goal here is not to crown him the next Bolt. That label gets handed out every few years, and almost nobody who receives it actually lives up to it. The real story is simpler and arguably more interesting. Gout Gout is one of the fastest teenagers ever legitimately recorded, and his trajectory points toward the 2028 Los Angeles Olympics, where he will be around 20 years old, and possibly the 2032 Brisbane Olympics, which could be the defining moment of his entire career. Right now the numbers are clear. He is not faster than Bolt was at the same age, but he is close enough that the comparison is not a joke anymore. It is a real conversation. And in sprinting, when the numbers start lining up like this at such a young age, everybody starts watching. Now let's talk about something that had literally never happened in the entire history of the sport. Not once. Not in all the decades of college track. Not in all the decades of indoor sprinting. Breaking 20 seconds in the indoor 200 meters as a college athlete. It simply had not been done. Then came March 14, 2026. The Randall Tyson Track Center in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And Garrett Callan did exactly that. The clock stopped at 19.95. The building exploded. College track was never going to be the same again. Callan was born January 25, 2004, in Georgia, but grew up in San Antonio, Texas, where his mother signed him up for track because, in her words, the kid simply could not sit still. He went to Antonian College Preparatory High School, and by May 2022, he was winning Texas South Region titles in both the 200 and the 400. He set school records across the 100, 200, and 400. He anchored record-setting relay teams. He was named Athlete of the Year. He was the fastest recruit in the entire state of Texas that year, walking out of high school with bests of 10.51 in the 100, 20.66 in the 200, and 46.88 in the 400. Programs lined up for him. He picked Nebraska. As a freshman, he ran 20.65 in the 200. As a sophomore, 20.25, earning second-team All-American honors at the NCAA championships. Steep, consistent improvement. But Nebraska was not where this story would peak. In August 2024, USC hired Brenton Emanuel, who had been Callan's coach at Nebraska, as their sprints and hurdles coach. Callan followed him, and that transfer changed everything. Something clicked at USC that went beyond just coaching. He has said himself, the belief the athletes around him carried was contagious in a way he had never experienced before. But the actual technical breakthrough happened at the blocks. Emanuel pinpointed the one flaw that had been holding Callan back the entire time, his start. He was always dangerous in the back half of a race, but he would dig himself into a hole in the first 60 meters and spend the rest of the race clawing it back. After countless hours rebuilding that start from scratch, he finally had a complete race, dangerous from the gun to the tape. That first indoor season, USC won the overall NCAA indoor team title, their first in 53 years. He entered 2026 with one single goal: win. On February 6, 20.12 in New Mexico, breaking the USC school record that Olympic champion Andre DeGrasse had held since 2015. 2 weeks later at the Big Ten Indoor Championships, 20.06, the third fastest indoor 200 in history, a new conference meet record, and the fastest time in the world for that entire year. And he was not finished. His coach revealed Callan had actually turned down the chance to go professional after the 2025 season because he felt the job was not done yet. He came back for the titles, and he was about to win the biggest one of his life. The NCAA Division I Indoor Championships, March 14, 2026. The men's 200-meter final was the very last individual race of the entire meet. In the first section, Wayne A. McCoy of Florida had already thrown down a personal best of 20.17, a genuinely serious time. Callan was in the second, faster section alongside Galani Watkins of Arkansas, who had broken the school's 60-meter record earlier the very same day. Before the race, his coach described Calland in warm-ups as restless, pacing, nervous energy everywhere. Then the gun fires, and he becomes a completely different human being. That is exactly what happened. He exploded off the blocks with the clean, powerful start his coach had spent an entire year building. He attacked the curve. He came off it flying. Down the straight he lifted, drove, and crossed the line. The clock froze at 19.95. The building lost its mind. Garrett Calland had just become the first collegiate athlete in history to break 20 seconds indoors. He beat McCoy's 20.17 by 0.22 seconds. It was not even close. It was a statement. The previous NCAA and American indoor record, 20.02, set by Elijah Hall back in 2018 gone. The facility record of 20.10, held by Wallace Spearman since 2005, gone. His 19.95 is now the second fastest indoor 200 in the entire history of the sport, worldwide. The only man who has ever run faster indoors is Frank Fredericks of Namibia, who ran 19.92 in live in France back in February 1996, a record that had stood untouched for 30 years. Calland missed it by 0.03 of a second. As a college student, indoors, he now owns 2 of the 3 fastest indoor collegiate 200-meter times ever recorded, his 19.95 sitting at number 1, and his 20.06 tied at number 3. No college sprinter in the history of the sport has ever sat that high on that list. After the race, Calland admitted he woke up that morning fully convinced going under 20 was impossible. Then he stepped outside and changed his mind on the spot. His outdoor personal best already sits at 19.96. The world indoor record is 19.92. Garrett Calland is 22 years old, and nobody has found his ceiling yet. Now for the story that might be the wildest one of all. Jordan Anthony walked into the biggest indoor track meet in America, lined up next to an Olympic champion, beat him, and then basically told him to retire. He is 21 years old. It was his first professional season, and he looked completely calm the entire time. March 1st, 2026, the Ocean Breeze Athletic Complex in Staten Island, New York, the USATF Indoor Championships. The men's 60-meter final had 3 massive names. Trayvon Bromell, a former world indoor champion and one of the most dangerous starters the event has ever seen. Noah Lyles, reigning Olympic 100-meter gold medalist, 4-time 200-meter world champion, the face of American track and field. And then there was Anthony, a rookie from Tylertown, Mississippi, a kid who grew up dreaming about winning a Heisman Trophy, not a national sprint title. When the gun fired, Anthony exploded out of the blocks, hit the 30-meter mark in total control, and never looked back. He crossed the line in 6.45 seconds. Bromell finished second in 6.47. Lyles, a man with 8 world titles and Olympic gold, finished third in 6.51. The rookie beat the king, and the sport has not looked the same since. To understand the size of this moment, you have to understand who Noah Lyles actually is. This is not just a fast guy. Lyles won 100-meter gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics, ending a long American drought. He holds the American 200-meter record at 19.31, set at the 2022 World Championships. He has been the loudest, most dominant, most entertaining sprinter on the planet for years, the man who created the championship belt celebration, who built an entire brand around himself, a true cultural icon in a sport that almost never produces them. And before this race, Lyles had not even competed at USATF indoors in over 9 years, his last appearance all the way back in 2018, where he finished 9th. When he came back in 2026, he came in loud, telling reporters that anyone who thought he was letting that belt go anywhere simply did not know him, that he was going all out from day 1 of the season, scared of nobody. That is the man Jordan Anthony just beat. And here is what makes Anthony's entire story different from every other rising star you have ever heard about. He was not even supposed to be a sprinter. He was a wide receiver. He played college football at 3 different schools, Kentucky, Texas A&M, and finally Arkansas, where he caught 8 passes for 111 yards and a touchdown. Real football, real games. He has said himself that if you had told him years ago he would become a professional sprinter, he would have laughed in your face. He kept grinding at both sports until track completely took over. And when it did, that football mentality came with him. The explosiveness, the composure under pressure, the ability to perform when it matters most. Those are not typical track traits. Those are football traits, and they translate perfectly into the 60 meters, a race decided almost entirely by reaction time, drive phase, and raw acceleration. His 2025 college season was a warning sign that most people simply ignored. He won the NCAA indoor title in the 60 meters, then went outdoors and won the NCAA title in the 100 meters, becoming the first sprinter since 2017 to pull off that exact double in the same season. He swept the 100 at the SEC championships running 9.95 and 19.93, then won the Bowerman Award, the most prestigious honor in college track, joking in his speech that a football player winning the Bowerman was crazy. Then he signed with Adidas, turned professional, and moved to Florida to train under coach Lance Browman, alongside Noah Lyles himself. Every single day, the two of them are in the same training facility, competing against each other in practice. That detail matters more than people realize. 2026 did not start perfectly for Anthony, though. On February 1st, he ran the Millrose Games and finished third. People immediately jumped on it, saying he had already lost his edge before he ever really got started. His response was not to argue. He turned it into fuel. 2 weeks later, on February 13th at the Tyson Invitational, he ran 6.43 seconds, making him the fastest man in the world in the 60 meters for that entire year, and ranking him the 10th fastest sprinter ever recorded at that distance. He went from being written off to being the world leader in 14 days. Then he went to Staten Island and won the national title outright. After the race, Lyles personally handed Anthony the championship belt. The symbolism could not have been louder. Then Anthony spoke to NBC Sports and did not hold anything back. He said he looked to his right and his left and did not hear Noah, did not see Trayvon. Said a new generation was taking over and that today was the day he had to give them their eviction notice. When asked about training alongside Lyles, he kept it just as honest, saying of course they talk smack. The sport is soft if they don't, that he brings football mentality while Lyles is, in his words, just bringing old age right now. He called an Olympic champion old, on national television, at 21 years old. Ice cold. Anthony now heads to Torun, Poland for the 2026 World Indoor Championships, running March 20th through the 22nd, walking in as the world leader in the 60 meters. Waiting for him, there is Johan Blake of Jamaica, the Olympic 100-meter silver medalist, and the sprinting world is about to find out if this new generation is for real.